Car Lifestyle Podcast
with host
Seth Rose from Exotics Rally,
Tminus, Gabe Florido
from Car Lifestyle.
Bro,
Nah, I'm
baller shit.
saying.
We popping bottles, son, in the
Nah,
back
I'm
of
saying.
Delages. Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't even tell me.
Where are we?
Nah, I'm
Are we in
saying.
Bedford Hills or are we in Bedford Stuyvesant?
We in Bedford Stuyvesant, son.
Bravo.
Now the
What? 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah, this is good. We can make like an album out of this.
Absolutely.
I'm testing the levels. Go ahead.
What? 1, 2, 1, 2.
Check 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Alright. The old Curtis Blow shit. That's what's up. What you know about that, Seth? What? 1, 2, 1.
It actually, you don't know what I'm listening to, but it actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, so we gotta be like 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1.
Mic check. You know what I'm saying? All up in the house with the Jewish god of Long Island.
Yo, I'll fucking light
sew your
you.
asshole closed and keep beating you and beating you and beating you.
I light your menorah on fire and stick it in your ass slow like.
Now that's one I haven't heard yet. That's a new one. And on that note, welcome back to the Car Lifestyle Podcast. This is podcast number 22. We are on location in Bedford Hills, New York. I am here with my co-host Tminus.
Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Tminus up in this motherfucker.
T-minus up in this bitch.
I'm Seth Rose, and we have our very special guest for this podcast, none other than the infamous,
The world renowned.
world-renowned. I don't know any other adjectives to really...
Vintage car collector.
vintage car collector.
Entrepreneur and
Extraordinaire car collector. And
Easy.
My man is inked from neck to toe.
welcome, Mr. Bradley Farrell.
Very nice to be here, Seth, and same as T-, old friend of mine.
True.
Yes.
True that, son. True
Brad
that.
and T-minus go back. Would you prefer Brad or Bradley?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so Brad and T-minus go back some ways, and, Bradley
We go
is
back
a-
like sliced bread, son. We go back like your wig after a gunshot.
These two have been extremely entertaining, if you couldn't tell by now. I'm more of the... I'm going to be the preppy one, I guess, of this this podcast. So anyway, we are on location at Bradley's office / car showroom / I guess this is like your factory, like where things happen.
It's my humble abode.
Your humble abode. And so upon entering, so I can give everybody a little visual, upon entering, we came across some of Bradley's collection, which is extraordinary, which we'll get to the individual cars in a little bit. But what I want to start off with, a lot of people don't know who Bradley Farrell is. And I just got to know you a little bit in the past hour. And as I said, T-minus is an older friend of yours. So why don't we go with a little history? So where do you want to start? You want to start? I'll tell you what. Why don't we start childhood? Were you passionate with cars?
Yeah, I was always passionate with cars. I would say the first time that
Long Island native.
yes, Old Westbury, I was raised. I went to Wheatley High School. And I would say that Smoking the Bandit was really my first, introduction to cars. The Trans Am, the black Trans Am with the gold bird. That really made an impact in my life for sure as a kid. And from there, it moved into the black Countach in Cannonball Run, as I'm sure we are all.
Oh, yes, with the gold wheels.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Gorgeous car.
Amazing car.
And from there, then it really just moved into Ferrari, and I remember putting up the poster of the F40 on my wall. And then from there, 959, and then I realized I'll never own one of these cars, so I'm just going to pull all that shit down.
Is that really what happened?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because, I had those posters. How old are you?
I'm 41.
41. Okay, so I'm 43, so we're right around the same aged bracket. And, back then, with the infamous car, justification for higher education, I always talk about with the 4, cars in the garage. But I don't know. I left my posters up.
Yeah, I was a serious skateboarder and stuff, so I would wallpaper my walls with ads out of skateboard magazines of, you know, Mark Gonzalez and Steve Cavallaro and, you know, Nodis and stuff like that. So there was one part of my wall that allowed for the cars that I dreamed about. And like I said, you know, slowly but surely I realized these cars are too expensive. I'll probably never own one, so might as well put a picture of Mike Vallely up instead.
Okay. All right, cool. So moving on, you got your license. What was the first car you owned?
First car I owned, I bought, was $200, and it was a Chrysler station wagon, I think. Yeah, station wagon. It was cool because I was able to put my friends in the back and stuff,
Sure.
you know, and have a good time.
Station wagons were so popular then. They were
Yeah,
awesome.
they were.
And now you can't even find one.
Yeah. It was interesting because it was white and it had like, you know, like the fake wood on it. Like I guess it was vinyl or something.
Yeah.
And my friend...
All the big moldings and everything on the side.
yeah, my old friend Tommy Helm, who's a pretty well-known, you know, tattoo artist nowadays. He spray painted a big skull on the front hood. And it was really funny about it was like 2 days later, my dad like painted the whole hood white. And I was like, it's my car, what are you doing?
You didn't like that skull?
Nah, he
huh?
wasn't into it. Not an old Westbury rolling through hard, no.
No, definitely not. You know, I lived in that neighborhood for a while. You don't want to be rolling around with skulls.
Right, yeah.
That's definitely the old Westbury Private Village
Yeah.
Police will definitely lock you up for trespassing.
Yeah, and then I bought you know, I had some cars in between, like a LeBaron and, you know, some other cars. But I'd say,
LeBaron.
yeah.
Remember that? They had
I
one
do.
that was made by Maserati, or does
Not
that?
a Maserati LeBaron.
That was the Chrysler TC, yeah,
Oh.
by Maserati. That was
Yeah. And then I'd say like my first venture into like real sports cars and stuff, I had a Corvette.
Oh, cool.
I had a Z06. I don't remember what year. I think it was a 2000. And then in 2001, I bought my first Ferrari.
So take us to the Ferrari. That was your first exotic?
Yes.
And which model was it?
So 360 Modena. Say that, T.
360
Modena.
Modena?
Bravo. Yeah, Funky Cole Medina.
Yes. So it was a coupe?
It was a coupe, yes. I bought it. It had 1,500 miles. It was a really, really beautiful car. It was black with black and red Daytona seats. It was a 6-speed.
Oh, so it was a manual.
It was a manual.
Nice.
And I actually...
Few of them around, not many.
Yeah.
Because the 360 was actually no.
Well, the 360 had many
355
manuals.
was the first one with the F1 transmission, but
I think the 360 was. 355 didn't have a F1. No.
Yeah, I don't know. I might argue with you on that.
I
Google
don't-
it, T.
What? 355 had an F1?
Nah.
They had.
They did.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
355 did, not 348.
Right.
Better step your game up, son.
I might have to.
Yeah,
Look
seriously.
that up.
Mr.
Please.
Modena.
Please.
Yeah.
look
Mr.
that up.
Modena.
Mr. Proper pronunciation of every Italian word in the world.
Try that one on.
Yeah.
Wow, I am quite perplexed if that is, in fact, the truth.
Which one bet on it?
I would bet
Lunch. We'll bet lunch.
No. It's gotta be something juicier with him. I'll bet you one of your gold teeth.
I bet you the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers album.
And what? On vinyl?
Yeah. They don't ever made it.
Okay. You're on. And one of your gold teeth. Ken Block style.
Now he's plucking teeth over here. Okay, so you had the Ferrari 360, and what was your involvement in the automotive community at that point?
Well, I'll step back for just a moment.
Sure. Give us a little history. We want to know about Brad.
Well, I opened up a tattoo shop in 1997. I tattooed for 10 years. I owned the shop for 8 years. When I was about to sell the shop,
Hold that thought. I just won myself a motherfucking Wu-Tang album.
I knew it. I'm up
Can't
on
fuck with the
bravo.
Don, son.
that's sick.
Transmissions for F355, 6-speed manual. 6-speed F1 electro-hydraulic manual. Ba-bang!
There
Wow.
it is.
That's great.
Now you owe me for that.
Whoa. You weren't in on this bet, son.
I like standing correct. That's great.
Okay, so tattoo
How's
shop.
it feel, T?
Pretty damn
First
good.
time.
I would have probably had one of your teeth in like a jar and been like, yes, on eBay. Bradley Farrell shit. But yeah, I'll settle for the 3 Wu-Tang.
All
Can't
right.
talk. Probably because I can't breathe. Yeah, I'm having some trouble.
Okay, so let's get back on track here.
Yeah, so tattoo shop. When I was thinking about selling the tattoo shop, of course, skateboarding played a big role in my life. I had a lot of friends that became pro. They moved back to New York. They lived close to me, and they were always filming. And I just felt like going out and starting to film or whatever. So I bought a camera and I started filming Gino Iannucci specifically. He was on Chocolate, and they were filming for the Yeah Right video. Those unfamiliar with Yeah Right, Ty Evans did it, Spike Jones was a part of it, and Girl, of course, produced it.
And real quick, these are all skateboard companies? Chocolate, Girl,
whatnot. Yeah. So from there, I really started to get into video, and when I bought the first Ferrari, I met a lot of people from Ferrari Long Island, and one of those specific people was Mike Lusos, a very close friend of mine, and he brought to attention of Rafredo Gintani, who owned Ferrari Long Island back in those days. He was a great, great, great man. Rest in peace, Rafredo. And he allowed us to basically do what we wanted. And we would go to the F1 parties and the functions and all of that kind of stuff, and I would film those events. Then we'd throw runs, and I would film those runs. And before you knew it, I created my own car club. It was called the EC.
And what did EC stand for?
Exclusive Colony.
Okay.
Quite pretentious. But someone would say, East Coast, whatever,
I heard East Circuit at one point. That's why I asked.
East Circuit was something completely different.
Okay.
I told Seth.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I didn't believe you, but that's what I heard from the beginning. So I wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
I mean, forums were very popular back in the, I would say between 2002 to 2008, 2009.
Sure.
I think people had more time on their hands, and they used to spend a lot more time online. I think a lot of them have definitely diminished over time.
I think that really changed with social media.
Well, with Facebook and Instagram,
really
absolutely.
changed everything, yep.
Absolutely. I mean, the platform is built into Facebook, and for several reasons, people have steered away from that.
Yeah.
But so I had heard about EC back then. But okay, so.
Yeah, so, well, what's interesting about forums is that, especially back then, when anything is quite new and fresh, people gravitate towards it a lot, right? And they'll adapt to it faster. And then they spend more time because they become addicted. No different than social media has taken on its role. But, with that, I still think that forums have their place, and the amount of information that's there is unsurpassed over Facebook or any social media.
It's also definitely a more secure and can be really private.
What I really like about forums, and I'm not on Facebook, so I couldn't tell you if they've changed their, their technology around it all. But with forums, when a thread could be 10 years old, and you can bring it right back up to the top.
Absolutely.
Which is just really, really cool. And I think that that's what's kept at least forums going somewhat, is being able to, bump posts up and continue that conversation, even though it's a decade after.
Yeah, that definitely does still exist on forums, not so much on Facebook. Facebook does have your news feed, which every day they will tell you what your historic posts were. So, like, for instance, this morning I wake up, I look at Facebook, and it told me 3 years ago I posted this. And if I comment on it today, it will bump it back up.
Sure.
So it's kind of there, but not so much. But forums, yes, there's a ton of information on them. I look at forums constantly, just in the automotive business that I'm in, just for answers to a lot of unknowns. I mean, forums are huge.
Yeah. So with the EC, it really was just an alternative. I was on FChat and stuff like that. And
that's actually where I started.
Yeah, me too.
I guess that's where we all started, Ferrari Chat.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I painted my car matte black in, I guess it was 2001.
Now that was like unheard of back then.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, really, the race cars were doing it. I wasn't starting anything new. race
But you were
cars were
doing
always
it in
like
the
that.
street. No one had ever done a flat black car.
And it was paint or was it vinyl? Or
No, it was totally painted. Yeah.
did you catch any heat for that from anyone?
I did.
Really?
You know, like, yeah, that's what I mean. Like when I was on Ferrari Chat and people would be like, oh, you must be like a drug dealer or some kind of, you know, weird stereotype. And I just started to find the like-minded people that would mod their cars also. And I started my own club. And I basically extracted those people that were very similar to my taste and built a community around that.
Okay. How big of a community was it?
At its strongest point, I would say it was 200 people,
Oh,
but
nice.
it was locked down. You know, it was invite only kind of thing, and it was cool. I mean, it was its time and place for everything.
Sure.
But I met some incredible friends, some amazing collectors that I'm still, you know, in touch with today that really shaped, you know, could arguably say that shaped my future today.
Okay. So let's fast forward. We get past the Ferrari 360.
Right?
And any other modern day cars?
No, I don't believe so.
No? Okay. So let's talk a little about what you're up to these days. Because, you know, I was introduced to you through Tminus, and originally I was supposed to meet you at an unveiling of a car that you recently purchased. And we'll start off with, what cars are you currently collecting, why, and give us a little history of it.
Well, I didn't quite understand the question just prior, so I will go into just a few modern cars that I did
Okay.
own over the years. You know, after the 360 Modena, which is a really interesting story. I basically, you know, I moved up to northern Westchester. I drove the car as often as I could, but for a period of time I just stopped and I just concentrated on work, you know. And I got this phone call one day, and it was like there was 3 feet of snow outside, and my car was buried under it, completely buried under it.
The Ferrari.
Yeah,
So you parked it outside.
yeah, but I drove it every single.
Right.
I drove it every day. I let my goats jump on top of it. I mean, it didn't matter. It's a car, you know what I mean? And it's a modern car.
Don't
in the
get any
sense that,
weird thoughts out there. We'll get to
you
the
know,
goats in a couple of minutes.
5,000 produced. I mean, come on, it's not a rare car. So, everything can always be fixed. So I tend to just want to enjoy the car rather than wipe it with a diaper. So I got a phone call, and it was like, yeah, you want to sell your car? I heard you want to sell your car. I was like, dude, it's like there's 3 feet of snow outside. It's buried underneath there. If you want to come and shovel it out
Dig my car out.
and pay X, then sure, I'll sell it. And that's what the guy did. Came, handed him a shovel.
Really?
I helped, unwillingly, but I helped. And then he paid me, you know, X, and he drove it away.
Wow.
Which was incredible. From there, I bought a GT3 RS, the 2007 Porsche,
Oh,
which I
great car.
absolutely loved. It was black and orange. That car was hands down the greatest car I've ever driven, and still to this day.
Did you track it at all?
No, I never tracked that car.
How many front lips did you rip off?
Maybe 3.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
it's so
probably
common. They
3.
have them in stock at every Porsche dealer.
Yeah, but what an amazing car. And I was a total Ferrari guy prior to that, you know.
Right. You a diehard Ferrari?
But that thing is just on rails. And from there,
That good?
It's that good. And from there, I realized that it's too good, and I felt like it was showing me what a great driver I was, while I really wasn't that great.
Gotcha.
And so I wanted to step back in time, and I wanted to really learn how to drive all over again. So I stepped into the 60s cars, and I bought a 250 GT, a Ferrari 250 GTE sedan. It was a great family car, a lot of fun. Not a sports car where you're ripping through the gears.
What year was that?
1962.
Wow.
Yeah. Absolutely love that car. And from there, I fell in love with the vintage cars. After that, during that time, I also bought a 1954 Jag XK 120M privateer race car. Loved that car. Still have it today. And that's pretty much like the visceral car, right? That's the car that will give you the most visceral experience in a sports car manner. But lately,
I mean, it's raw. It's like you're sitting on an engine just flying through the air.
exactly, there's no carpets. I mean, it's
You feel every nook and cranny in the road, every pebble.
There's only one seat. There's a tonneau cover that, believe it or not, if you drive the car without the tonneau cover, you can really feel the turbulence in the car that, it moves you from side to side. It gets even scarier. So when you put that tonneau cover on, you just streamline through the
That's awesome.
through the road.
it settles it a bit.
Much better. And I don't know what it is, but I keep wanting to try to go back further and further and further in time.
So tell us about the Jag. Where did you find that car? Was that stateside?
The Jag I found up by Lime Rock in a barn. It was retired in the mid 70s, and there was this older gentleman that owned the car. He was probably in his late 70s, and he was like, "I have another one. I don't use this one." He also has a C-type, by the way, which is game over. And he was like, "This is a really special car, dear to me. What do you plan on doing with it?" I said, "I plan on leaving it just like it is. I would never restore it. It's a total preservation car." And so we made a deal, and I bought it. When he took me for a ride, it was very, very cold out. It was probably like 19 degrees. I was very ill at the time too. And I knew when he turned the wheel over to me, I knew that everything was wrong. Everything was wrong. The suspension was wrong. The brakes were wrong. The steering was wrong. Everything was just crap. But it didn't matter to me. I had to have it.
Yeah.
And because that feeling, even though it felt wrong, it was so foreign to me from modern day cars that I needed to have that experience, of owning the older cars. And now I'm completely hooked on pre-war cars specifically.
So would that be the newest of the collection as far as years?
Yeah, 54 is definitely
54, and you
newest,
just
yeah.
go backwards from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we saw when we first walked into your building here, and it's
Yeah, it looks like you're
absolute-
walking into the Smithsonian.
But it's a beautiful car. I mean,
Sick.
it's like an iconic silver bullet.
Yes. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be asked to go, to go to Quail and show the car at Quail this year in Monterey.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. I drove,
And
drove in California.
You drive this car.
Well, last year I would drive to and from work every single day because I didn't have this space.
Okay.
So I wasn't parking my car inside and living with it the way I'm living with it.
Right.
I was next door, and I would drive to and from work, and I would take the long way home every night.
Very cool. Very cool. So, how do you find maintenance on these cars and parts? Is it tough to sort these things?
Well, Jags are very easy, right? I mean, there's always somebody somewhere that knows how to work on a Jag, and probably in this central location, I could think of 4 people that work on Jags.
Okay.
One specifically, Bob Milstein, who's a fantastic shop. But no, they're not difficult to work on. The other more obscure French cars that I have.
Yeah, we'll get to those. Those
Extremely,
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, I even found when I had a Renault
Right.
R5 Turbo, just to get a part for that, I had to have one machined.
Yes.
It wasn't very easy.
Yes.
And we'll get to that. That's interesting. All right, so the Jaguar is the newest of the collection. And going backwards, what do you have after that? What would be the next?
I would say it's the one I bought at the Baillon collection in France last year. It's a 1934 Delage D611S.
Now, Delage is spelled D-E-L-A-G-E.
Lage.
Just so our listeners know to look it up, because I've never heard of a Delage. Mm-hmm. Never in a million years. Jaguar, of course, it's mainstream.
Sure. Yeah, Delage is one of the preeminent, finest French cars pre-war. And they were consumed by Delahaye. Maybe you've heard of Delahaye, I don't know.
No.
But again, a great pre-war, and they moved into post-war cars as well. Delage, believe it or not, were really originally Grand Prix cars, and they raced back in the day and won everything.
So many of these small manufacturers started out that way. It's interesting. Like Spiker, even
Sure.
Spiker started out originally.
Yeah.
The Grand Prix in Le Mans.
Absolutely.
And that's how they grew to then offer a mainstream car to people.
Yeah.
But
Did Spiker ever do coach
Coach building?
horse,
yeah.
but I mean like horse carriage.
No,
No,
that they
they
didn't
weren't
do.
that old.
No, their first. Everybody thinks there was an aircraft company first, but it actually started as an automotive company, and then became an aircraft company, and then back to automotive. It was relaunched by Victor Muller, who
Right.
we did a podcast with a couple of months ago, which was the story's incredible. How they,
Sure.
just persevered through a lot of tough times. But okay, so the Delage is a 1934.
34.
How many horsepower is a car like that?
It's like 60.
Yeah, right around 60. And how
Yeah.
many cylinders?
It's a 6-cylinder. It's a D611S. So that car is really, really special. At least to me, it's special. But also for those who are not familiar with the Baillon collection in France, there were 60 cars that were found in a barn last year.
Legitimately, just like
In a barn.
rotting in a barn, or
In a barn.
just-
That was the same collection that the 250 Cal Spider Ferrari came out of. That sold for 18 million.
Wow.
The total preservation car didn't even run or anything like that.
And the owner's name was Baillon?
Roger Baillon.
And what did he do? That he acquired such a vast collection of these cars.
Yeah, so he owned a truck manufacturing company and he built trucks.
Okay.
I actually have the bill of sale
Wow.
with 30 other cars attached to that bill of sale.
Oh.
So he bought 30 cars while he bought that one. I believe it was in 1952.
So he was a pretty serious collector.
Yeah, what he wanted
Especially
to do.
in those days. In those times, it was rare.
Yeah, what he wanted to do was assemble, 100, 150 car collection, basically start a French museum, and he lost one of those largest customers, and his business took a turn for the worst. He fell into a depression. He had to sell 50 of those cars, so he sold 50 of those cars, fell into an even deeper depression, never did anything else ever again, just left those cars out to rot. His son then picked that up, collecting and started collecting more of the modern cars like the 62 Ferrari and, Maserati and stuff like that. But again, his son basically said, over my dead body would these cars ever leave France. And then, of course, he died.
So, hence the reason why you have it here in the U.S. So,
Yeah, it was
his
a
dead body, and now it's
It was a big deal, but it took 6 months to get the car in. It needed
Really?
its own export license. It was considered to be
even though the age of it.
because of the age of 34, it needs a license. It needs an export license. The fact that there's only 18 in the world plays a role. The Schlumpf collection had to get involved to make sure that it wasn't a national treasure.
So you had a lot of red tape.
A lot.
So you actually went to the auction and purchased it? You
I did
bid on
not.
it?
I did not. I actually, I was on the phone with a friend that was on the ground,
Okay.
and I said, I want this. I wanted 4 other cars too, but they were astronomical in price. I mean, these cars were said to go for 20, 30,000 euro, and they went 8 times that
Wow.
amount. I mean, I essentially bought a $100,000 planter.
Yeah.
But
and the condition of it at the time when you got it was,
it's destroyed.
yeah.
I mean, it's all intact. The integrity of the steel is there. There, I'm fully restoring the car right now. From nut bolt ground up restoration we're doing, but
But it's got to be quite an undertaking, considering, I mean, there's a lot of different woods involved, right? A lot
Yeah,
of
it's
wood
mostly
material.
ash. It's ash wood, but this was a full steel body car that it's all intact. All the gauges are there except for the manometer and the 2 headlamps. So it was really well preserved. But there's a bunch of books that you can go out and see, and type in Baillon collection and Google, and you'll see a bunch of the cars.
Which for our listeners is Baillon.
LLON.
Right. It's a French word, and Bradley's pronouncing correctly, but it'd be hard to spell it if you didn't know.
So, obviously, the car was not in running condition.
No,
Have they gotten into running condition?
No.
Not yet.
no, we're taking apart the entire car
It's
first.
got to be hard, like we talked about before. I mean, it's a French vehicle.
Yes.
I mean, and the parts are probably going to have to be remanufactured, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you can. I mean, when you belong to those clubs, those really obscure clubs out there, whether they're Italian clubs, French clubs, German clubs, Hispano-Suiza, Swiss clubs with Spain, and all those stuff. I mean, you can find some stuff, but you can't find
how
it
to
all.
allocate things, right?
Yeah, you can find some stuff, but yes, a lot of the other
And now
parts.
with technology and 3D printing,
No,
No, still not.
We ain't 3D printing the Lodge parts.
Alrighty then.
But you would need to manufacture. You would have to retool and manufacture. That's where the expense really comes in.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, it's just amazing. So, the one that you have here, the black one, what year is that car?
That's a 1930 Avion of Voisin.
Okay. So that's not a Delage. The other one that's here was a Delage.
There's another Delage
There's
that's here.
one. So
That's
you have two Delage.
Yes, there's a 1920 Delage DE Paris Auto Show Salon car. It's a one-off.
Yeah,
That car is really cool, but
it's really cool. It has like these little lanterns, like kerosene
it's really
lanterns
cool.
on it.
yeah,
It is super cool.
It's definitely. I mean, listen, I'll be the first one to admit I'm not into old cars, but I love hearing about them, learning about them, seeing them. I wouldn't mind driving them. I think that would be just cool because it's so raw.
yeah. No, it's as raw as you get.
Yeah, we were driving actually. Brad's driving, and we were doing like a top speed of like 23 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And there was a stop sign coming in, and he was like, "We have no brakes." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "No, really, seriously, we don't have any brakes."
Yeah, well, they're cable brakes.
Right.
So
Very mechanical. And
yeah, I mean,
Cables were out to vacation that day.
I mean, you have a handbrake that you have to pull at the same time that you're standing on the brakes.
Right.
With both feet. And if you're going down a hill, it ain't happening. So
Yeah, so-
you're just
So
you're
for all
just going
intents and
right
purposes,
through
very
that.
prehistoric, beautiful to look at, but
It was super cool. It's a great experience,
It is all about the experience. So you'd ask me, what is it about these cars that when you go back in time? I mean, it really is. You're going back in time. These are time machines. If I got in the car and I drove down one of these very desolate streets up here, you would think that you're transported back in time. And the sound they make and the vibrations that they give you, and it's almost like a music box, but I don't mean like a music box that twirls the ballerina. I mean like from the 1800s.
yes, that plucks
With the gears.
That
Right.
plucks the gears.
Yeah, yeah.
There's like 1,000 of those that are going at the same time. And so when you're in one of these pre-war cars, it's almost like you're inside of a music box because there's so many different things that you're feeling in tandem. It's addictive.
And I think what's amazing to me is you think about it, it's like a 1930 car.
Yeah.
Somebody was driving that in 1930.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, this is the shit you see on TV, like when you're watching the movie Titanic and they're loading a car onto the ship. It was like these people were driving these cars.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to think about that there was a gentleman in France
Yes.
that was going out for the evening to possibly an opera, whatever it might be, and they were driving this car, and now it's in your hands.
Well, those are the cars that I really look for to acquire. The rare cars, the cars that they only made a few of, especially when you're dealing with French cars. All the cars were blown up, made into bullets by the Germans, and melted down.
Right.
So there's not many of those left. But even with the Jag, what's interesting about the Jag is I was flipping through Automobile Quarterly the other day, which is an old quarterly book that came out. And I saw my Jag in 1971 racing in Watkins Glen, and it was like, man, that's cool. Then
cool, yeah.
I open up an Automobile Quarterly and I see the Delage, the Paris Auto Show car, the one-off that I have, and that's in Automobile Quarterly in the 70s as original as it was today. So in 1920, when it was actually at the Salon itself in Paris, you have photos of that. You really takes you back in time.
Yeah.
Right, and the Bugatti that you have downstairs.
Yeah,
Bradley has a Bugatti. Game over. Everybody, you hear the word Bugatti, and most of our listeners say to themselves, Veyron. Not many people know that Bugatti is such a historic mark.
Oh, absolutely. And the family itself, is just, it's just light years away from any other family in the automotive history, in my opinion, in one man's opinion,
Well, today people don't realize Bugatti's owned by Volkswagen.
It's not a Bugatti anymore.
No,
I'm sorry, you Veyron owners.
They bought the name and the mark, and they, planted on the car.
And it's great that they were able to, pay homage to
the name, to the brand,
and keep it alive because it is one of the most affluent, car companies on the planet.
But it's not what it was then.
No, it definitely is not. What it was then was an Italian man that came over to France and built cars, and built bespoke cars, very, very few, and he did them his way. He was not like this, brilliant engineer. He was a brilliant engineer in the sense that he made his own way, but he didn't come from the school of engineering. So he was really able to, create some really great patents. So I have a 1930 Type 44 Fiat, which really pays homage to the horse and carriage. It's the carriage. And it's a Jean Bugatti coach-built car. I believe there's only 12 of those made. There's only 4 that survive. Mine's the last surviving one that's never been restored. But it is drivable. It's a preservation car. It's a totally original car.
Really cool car. I just like the fact that everything is original.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sick.
Well, you gotta be careful with everything, right? Because people are like, yo, the air in the tire is original.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, it's
all the physical components predominantly are original.
Agree.
Which is very cool. I mean, you don't find that. Like you said, it's the only one that's never been restored, and there's only 4.
Or you look in Bugatti books and then you see the actual car, and you're like, I own that car.
Right.
That's.
It's a special car. It's a special feeling.
Yeah, it's fun.
Legit history. Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. So what else you got cooking in cars?
You could touch on Kinetic Fin. You could touch on Black Diamond. You could touch on your new,
Well, are there any cars
Venture.
you're currently seeking?
Definitely, always seeking. Yeah, I mean, a Hispano Suiza I would love to have. A Mion Guillet coach body car I would be looking for. I don't know what that means to you guys, but...
Not much. Couldn't even begin to spell it.
Of course, I would love a GP Bugatti, the Type 35 or 37A or...
Now, those are the ones all the replicas are built after, right?
Yeah, the Persang, builds the replicas. Yeah. But, those cars are just fascinating. One of my friends has a Type 51 right up the street from me, are totally all original Type 51. That's probably the best one surviving. Another one of my friends have a bunch of GP. A lot of collectors around this area are a lot of Bugatti guys. So older guys that just have the best cars.
It's like a Type 35. What does something like that go for that's totally restored?
Well, it depends on, is it numbers matching? Like people get hung up with numbers matching
A full
stuff.
real deal, numbers matching, fully restored car.
$4 million.
Wow.
You could find one for 2.5 that isn't in the engine wasn't with that car. It still is a Type 35 engine. It is still a big 8, but it's not the exact numbers that came with that car. A lot of the bodies are all redone because let's face it, we're talking about 1928.
Yeah.
Those bodies just don't survive. So when a car comes to market that's been tucked away for 60 years or something that you find, the likelihood of them being all original is high, and those are the cars that go for stupid money.
So right now, currently in your collection, the oldest car that you own is a
1920 Delage.
1920 Delage, which we're coming up on almost 100 years old.
That's right. Isn't that cool?
That is insane.
Yeah, it's got wooden artillery wheels and Bedford cord and interior with horsehair. That's all. It's just there's
The
some.
car got a weave, son.
It's got a weave, kid.
It's just so remarkable that these cars have survived and the condition that they're in. Just seeing those cars downstairs. They are.
Yeah, it's like a privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're still in really good condition, considering that a lot of them are original.
Sure. Yeah. The Voisin is not. It's an original car, but it was completely restored in 2000.
I've got a leased Jeep, and after 3 years, the thing is shot.
It's true. So it's amazing to see how these are still intact, and but that really goes to show you.
It really goes back to what your parents used to say. They don't make them like they used to.
No, they don't make them like they used to. That car, the Voisin, is all alloy car. It's totally aluminum car.
It is sick.
That car's gorgeous.
I would rock that.
Yeah, I absolutely would.
Yeah.
I would get a driver, go out for the night, enjoy that.
Yeah. You go 30 miles an hour everywhere.
It doesn't matter because
No.
you want everybody to see you in that.
No, the Voisin actually, believe it or not, goes about 60.
Oh, wow.
60 miles an hour, and I've taken
That's
it on the 684 and stuff. It's been pretty fun. But the Delage is maybe, the 1920 ones, maybe we went 35 miles an hour on wooden wheels, remember? And it was shaking like crazy. And
But it was so cool though. Honestly, if you got in it and you went for a ride one, just up the block, you'd be like, this is cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I had like a 1961 MG.
Yeah.
It was random, and it was cool to drive. I really enjoyed it. because it was just so raw, like the shifting and everything. You heard everything, and all the clanking and all those noises are great.
Yeah.
They are.
There's
Yeah.
nothing
They are.
wrong with that. You know, great. My Superleggera paddle shift, it's, you know, you can teach anybody to drive that.
Yeah.
But these older cars, I mean, it's really, they're functioning.
Yeah, well, it really comes
of
down to
work.
how mechanical. You're really sitting on mechanics,
Yeah.
right? And it's the amalgamation of man and machine and the road in which we choose to take on our journey every day is that makes those experiences so delightful.
And the fact that it works.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no like wiring harness with this and that, and traction control, and a DME, and a ECU, and a standalone computer, and
Right.
all this crap. It's like straight up like how a clock works, like an automatic watch on your wrist. It's really like, if this piece doesn't work, nothing will work.
Right.
Yeah.
Or it's also easy in the sense that, like, you gotta check the float in the car, like you just, open it up, check the float.
Right.
There's some
There's no OBD2 computer to plug in.
right. There's some shit in the fuel line. I mean, you can see the fuel line actually turn a wrench and take it off, and then bang it on the wall, clean the stuff out, put it back. Like, you look at a modern car, you're like, everything's tucked.
Right.
I can't even get my fingers in there, unless
Cars
I'm on.
today, you open the hood, there's just a smiley face.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what is the number one car on your bucket list right now that you're looking for? Is there?
I mean, like, no holds barred. kind
No
of
holds
thing.
barred. You had a blank check. It didn't matter. What would be the number one car that you would want?
Probably a Tabalago, Fagonia Fulsace.
Of course, it's got to be some shit nobody understands or can say.
150 teardrop. So Tabalago teardrop coupe. That would probably be the one car. Pull it up, you'll see what it looks
I
like.
can't even spell it, bro. Come on.
Talbot,
I have heard of that.
Lago, teardrop
That's
coupe.
TALBOT.
Yes, but the T is silent.
Educated.
The T is silent.
We're all going to learn something here today.
What you want to
Okay.
do?
So
I'm about to start my record collection, son.
I'm up to Talbot,
Okay, Lago.
Lago.
Yes.
LARGO.
No.
Go ahead.
Teardrop
Teardrop. Yep,
coupe.
I got that.
Oh,
Ah,
this
yes.
is cracked.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You see?
Now,
This shit is cracked, son. Oh hell yeah.
now,
Look at that.
didn't Bugatti make something that looks similar to that?
Well, Bugatti made an Atlantique.
Similar.
There's
that
only
looked
three.
kinda
Yes,
similar to
Ralph
this.
Lauren has one.
That's
but,
where I saw it on his collection on Discovery Channel. I
Yeah,
believe.
perhaps similar to not the most sophisticated eye. I don't want to say that you're not.
No.
Right?
I'm
But
saying from a distance,
negative.
From a distance, a quick glance. I'm not saying you would mistake each other, but some
Yeah.
styling cues.
Yeah, sure.
What's that cost? Or what do they roughly cost?
Well, there's only 8 of those, so that would be close to 8 million, 10 million, something like that.
Chump change, son.
You want to split it?
Maybe.
You know, but Seth's broke.
Oh God.
Oh my god.
Oh boy. Interesting. Definitely an interesting car. You know, I look at something like that, and I'm looking at it on my iPhone. Everybody, you can Google it yourself. And I say to myself, nobody makes anything quite like that. But what strikes my mind is Morgan.
Sure.
It's
Yeah,
those
there's
styling
similarities.
cues. Yeah, some similarities, and they've always been kind of cool. But
Speaking of cool,
yes.
you want to talk about maybe P45, your good friend Jim Blickenhouse?
What would you like to know?
I don't know.
So
Get
so
into it.
Bradley you're very good friends with the infamous James Glickenhaus, who I mean, I don't know too much about James other than the fact that he took 2 Ferrari Enzos and made one car, which is the P45, and then he now is
Took one
producing-
Enzo.
Was it one Enzo? I thought it was 2.
Took one Enzo, made P45, then took a 430.
Scuderia,
Right, and made it-
the Competizione.
That's correct.
And then he raced with that car,
Yes, Nürburgring.
Nürburgring.
Did very, very well. And then he built his own car, which is the SCG 00.
Which is a production car.
Right.
Cameron Glickenhaus, yeah.
Have they sold any to your knowledge?
I don't recall, actually. I mean, I think that he had, because they're not street legal here,
Right.
I think that he has a buyer in Germany. And I know that he sold that one race car to his to his teammate.
So James Glickenhaus, if anybody doesn't know, you can Google him. He is an astute car collector as well. He is a car builder. He has commissioned Pininfarina
He did commission Pininfarina, yes.
to develop an Uber supercar,
One-off,
one-off build based on an Enzo,
correct.
which is the P45, which is an incredible car. I mean,
Sick.
It's been shown a few times in Long Island at the Americana Concourse. That's where I was able to see it. And it just looks like a spaceship going down the road.
Yes.
It's something that you've never seen before. And it is one-off. And I think it took quite a bit of time for Ferrari to acknowledge it, if I'm not mistaken. I think at first they weren't too keen about it.
Sure. I think that it was more under wraps than necessarily not keen on it. It was just a really top secret project that Pininfarina was working on for a bespoke client.
Right.
And to my recollection, when Ferrari saw it, it was undeniable that, it's a Ferrari.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So when he unveiled it,
They basically just gave it their blessing at that point.
that's right.
Okay. And so, I mean,
I think a lot of the styling cues for the new LaFerrari came from the.
I believe, I think we were making that comparison not
Yeah.
too long ago.
Even the 458 in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's
The lights, yeah.
But even just the shape of how it, cuts back to the teardrop kind of glass.
Have you ever had the opportunity to drive it?
No, I've never driven any of Jim's cars. I've driven in Jim's cars with Jim driving. I mean, I've been in the Duesenberg P45 a number of times.
He has a Lola, I believe.
412P. I've been in the Lola, the P34.
Right.
I mean, pretty much a lot of his cars I've been in. They're great. I would never want to drive one of his cars though. They're too much money and they're not yours. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a special guy with a special collection, a real passion for cars. He loves cars. I had the opportunity to talk with him for a few minutes at Americana Concourse when he saw my Renault R5. He actually asked me if it was for sale.
Well, see, that's the cool thing about Jim. Jim is a real, true car guy. And
he's
the
a real
things that
enthusiast.
speak to him, it doesn't matter if they don't speak to anyone else or it's a small group of people that know what those cars are. He recognizes great design, great engineering, and great history. And so he is like the pinnacle of what a car guy really should be. He's quite eccentric, but I mean, he is who he is.
Right. That's cool.
You want to talk about your new venture?
Yeah. So what is Bradley doing today? I mean, you did some stuff in the background. We talked about the website and stuff and the forum and.
Well, what Seth doesn't know about is your new, like the way
Right.
you brought up this new company that I really don't know too much about either. I know you explained to me, but it was a lot to take in about your new auction house online and how it's going to revolutionize, or basically revolutionize the way cars are bought at auction online.
Yeah, so I mean, stepping back, I come from, I'm an illustrator by trade, right? So I'm definitely creative. However, moving into business, you learn a lot that school would never teach you, even business school would never teach you. So it's working with people, it's how you work with people, how you work with brands, how you develop a brand, how you market a brand, and so on and so forth. So I created a creative agency that was called Kinetic Fin with a business partner of mine, a couple of business partners of mine, and we worked for some very, very large Fortune 50 companies. That being said, also technology had spawned from it, and you tend to want to see how things you feel should operate online than what's currently being done. And that of course moves you into marketing because it all ties in. So creative, marketing, and technology eventually starts to become one. And how can I leverage all of those three attributes and actually make a difference or a shift in an industry that has yet to adapt that methodology. So fast forward, just a couple of months ago, we threw the first auction under the Kino Brothers brand. So it's Kino Brothers Fine Automobile Auctions. We did it in New York City. It was the first time I had ever been involved with actually throwing an auction. But I do know, come from the world of design and marketing and advertising and all that. So building up to that auction, I feel like it was a home run. We sold 20 of the 40 cars that night. The median sale was $400,000.
Oh wow! So
it's a big number.
Of cars.
It's a big number. We were trying to be more of a boutique-like auction house.
Was this like an invite only, or?
It wasn't an invite only. It was open to the public, but it was right before Thanksgiving, so there was nothing really driven around it specifically. So most auction houses like to piggyback on other auction houses, so that people are coming, seeing other cars, then they go to the next auction house, see other cars, and go to the next auction house, see other cars. This was in New York City, a place called Skylight, where they mostly do fashion shows. There was not another auction that was taking place. There was not another event taking place at the same time. So, but there were some really great cars that we had, and a lot was learned. I think we sold roughly $8 million worth of inventory that night.
It's great for a first auction and only 40 cars.
Fantastic, and show me another business that you can start in 6 months and come close to breaking even is tremendous.
That's remarkable in itself.
Tremendous. But through there, I felt like there was a lot of things that I wanted to do that, given to my own control, I would be able to do, and I needed to take a break. Of course, it was a full 100%, well, like 110% of just focus for 6 months to try to get this done. We got to get all the cars in there and, the design and everything in 48 hours, and then we had to get everything out in 24. So it was a massive undertaking. And so moving forward, what would I like to see in the future? I resigned from the Kino Brothers, and I'm going to start my own auction house.
And where's that? Is it going to be an auction house, or is it going to be on location in different places?
It will be something quite different. I don't know. I mean, T used the word revolutionize. I wouldn't use that word. That's a very strong word, but I like it, for marketing purposes and stuff. It's intriguing.
I think I was talking more about like what you had showed me online.
Yeah.
How you would, you take X amount of pictures of the car driving still.
Yeah.
Interior, exterior, undercarriage, the whole nine, and then you put together a little video of the experience of driving this through beautiful roads up here, and then a full-on description, and then a attachment of all the original paperwork of the car and where it came from. How it,
so we did that with the Kino Brothers because originally the Kino Brothers saw what I was going to launch anyway, which was what you saw 2 years ago,
right.
And they were like, Akanimi that, right? They were like, let's partner up and do something with that.
Right.
So we started to touch base on that with our last auction, with our first auction. But there were a lot of things that just couldn't be done because they needed to be tied into another infrastructure that takes live bidding and all, just a bunch of stuff that has to be done at that time that you just don't have the time to pull it off. So you do the best you can and you move forward. You learn from it and you move forward. Moving forward, it's going to be called The Finest. So it's The Finest Automobile Auctions. And there's quite a unique business opportunity attached to it. How I see online is there should be opportunities for after sales to take place in a way where it's right now there's a live auction. We're going to have a live auction in a location in a warehouse. There will be an auctioneer there. There'll be 20 cars. We will sell those cars. Whatever doesn't sell at that moment will move into a queue for 48 hours that basically says timed bidding. So whatever it didn't hammer at, it goes into that queue, time bidding for 48 hours. Then it moves into whatever doesn't sell from that queue, moves into another queue, which is a buy now queue. Whatever doesn't move from that in 24 hours goes into make an offer. Right. So look, an eBay-like kind of thing, but much more elegant and much more controlled in a way that you understand there are different queues that take place, and it's over a course of 5 days. But hopefully, you sell everything in the first day at the at the live event itself.
Well, that's the goal.
Yeah,
But everybody's going to auction. Even Bring a Trailer now does most of their cards from auction.
sure. Bring a trailer, pretty much. Yeah, of course. It's
Interesting website that started out as just a listing service that
Tremendous,
pulled from
yeah,
other
tremendous.
places. Now they have.
That's where I found that Renault.
Renault,
yeah. But I think it's too much. There's comes a point where you become fatigued because there's so much information out there. How do you take it all in? And when you do an auction every week with 10, 12 cars, and then the next week you do another auction of 10, 12 cars, it becomes not as special anymore. You know, you feel like, well, there's so much inventory out there, I don't even look at those emails anymore. You know, so how do you treat that balance? We will also be doing live auctions, and this is, between us girls right now, but we'll be doing an auction in Colorado. Snowmass Aspen has asked me to come out and throw an auction there. Hershey, Pennsylvania, in June 11th has asked me to go and make that auction happen for them.
Right. Well, they usually do one, right? Once a year.
They do one in the fall, but this is the Elegance in Hershey. I'm really happy that you said that, because I've been trying to say that there's no distinction between, when I say Hershey, people immediately say, oh, that's the swap meet and the this, and RM does an auction then, and right? And it's like, yes, they do, but that's not the Elegance at Hershey. That's the fall auction and swap meet at Hershey. This is, and Concours, right? This is the Elegance, which is a Concours, but it takes place in June, and it's at the Hershey Hotel itself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
That's going to be a new production.
Well, that's been going on for 5 years.
Okay.
This will be the 6th year, but this will be an auction that will take place, there.
Cool.
Yeah,
And you're going to be spearheading that.
indeed.
Very cool. We'll have to go check that out. It's kind of local to us.
Yeah. And then there's opportunities to partner. This is what's really interesting, is that other auction houses just don't see that. They promote themselves. Barrett Jackson is on television promoting themselves, right? They can. That's great. Gooding, RM, Bonhams. It's all about their name. But why, have that opportunity to go out to a big company like a bank, or a big, luxury company like Hermes or Louis Vuitton or something like that, and have it, Louis Vuitton presents the finest automobile auctions. They'll pay for it completely, so everything that you sell now goes in your pocket, and you don't even have to worry about, the expenses.
And they get the exposure for the brand
And
awareness.
they get the exposure, right?
Makes
So that's
sense.
kind of the business model that we're going to start to work off of.
Funny enough, Barrett Jackson added another auction
Yes, it did in Connecticut.
in Connecticut. Yeah, Mohegan Sun. It's going to be in June.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. But they really don't get the kind of cars that you're.
They do get
representing.
amazing cars, but the fact is, when they sell 1,000 or 500 or even more, whatever doesn't sell, they can just rotate right back into the next
Right.
auction, and you have no idea. Which is fine. It doesn't mean that it's a bad car, but
No,
it's
it's
just a
saturated,
different business model.
Yeah, it's very saturated. When yours is very special, and
I like to look at us as a more boutique like auction house, even very, very different from RM or the big
Yours is
three.
reserved.
Ours is quite boutique, and we're probably tops.
Lives up to the name of the finest.
Sure, tops would be 50 cars.
interesting.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I'd like to check that out. But
Yo, can we get on that guest list, son?
No doubt.
I just throw a
So
little
far
I.
coming out of his mouth, right?
It's very foreign for me. I. So that's your current project.
Yes.
And is there anything else you want to add?
Not really. I'm really thankful that you guys took the time to come out today, and
Well, we thank you for your time.
but
Absolutely.
it's a long trek. You know what I mean? I mean, you came from all the way out in Long
Long Island,
Island,
yeah.
so I used to live there, so I know how far it is. But you guys live even further out east.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah,
all
I'm
the
in a
way up.
different time zone. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm all the way up, close to Connecticut, northern Westchester. So I want to thank you for your time, and I'm really glad that you guys are as passionate about pre-war cars, because a lot of the people don't really understand the attraction, but when it's undeniable when you look at those cars and you see them, it's you can't just turn away.
See, because
No, the craftsmanship
well,
is just
I
through the
have a
roof.
bad problem, and this will be a therapy session now. My problem is that when I come into contact with somebody like you, and I see these cars, all tonight I'm going to be on the internet looking for a fucking car.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is what happens to me.
Sure.
Honestly.
Well, be careful, because when you deal with pre-war cars, so many cars have been chopped and changed, and
Oh, I'm sure.
they're not
But
the
I
real
mean,
numbers.
I wouldn't be up to that kind of caliber of cars.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there's a car that's being stored right now in my shop that a guy has. It's just such a cool car, and you've seen it. It's like a 1932 Ford. Mm-hmm. It's just such a cool car because it's 100-point nut and bolt restoration, and but it's drivable, it's functioning.
Sure.
I just thought it would always be a cool car. Take my kids, put them in the back seat,
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
travel down the road.
Yeah, but Bradley does donuts in his. I'm saying.
True.
But it really just comes down, if you're looking and you're interested in pre-war cars, the best advice that I could give is contact the club for that car. If it's the French club or the English club or the Spanish club, whatever
probably
it may
know
be,
about every
they
car
know
out there.
about all the cars, and they know
Yeah.
about all the stories and all the cars with hair on them and all that, So they'll be able to at least steer you in the right direction. But
Yeah.
the other thing is read all the books. There's plenty of books that are wrong too, but
This was a huge education
all the
for
books.
me. I absorbed everything. I loved it. But and that,
You could process this.
I've been processing it the whole way.
That's what's up.
you've been marinating.
Absolutely. And the
You gotta
whole
take him for a ride. I swear on my life, you take him for a ride.
no, I
Oh,
That'll
didn't.
yeah.
be that. You'll be fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be game over at that
They'll
moment.
be like, so Victor, going to buy the spiker back?
Give me a vintage spiker while you're at it.
Seriously, you'd be into it.
Yeah.
But but a spiker, just relevance to the conversation, is just it's also a very raw car.
Absolutely.
There's no ABS, there's no traction control, everything's very mechanical. Mine
Center
have
locking rims, AP racing brakes.
Yeah, it's
My-
gorgeous
mine-
to look at.
Yeah,
And
mine happens to have power assisted brakes, but
Sure.
most of them did not. Most of them were just
the fit
straight
and finish
functional.
of those cars inside, I mean,
Yeah, it
it's
is
a
really
real gorgeous car.
And that's why I fell in love with the car, because
Sure.
of its uniqueness and the fit and finish. And there's really nothing else out there like it. And even though some of your cars may have been mass produced at one time, there's not that many out there at this
right.
point. So it makes it very unique, and
That's
the ownership experience is second to none.
Yes.
You can't compare it to other things. And when people have like a Ferrari 458, they're like, yeah, it's the only blue one with red interior, and I'm like, yeah, it's great, Superman, but let's really think about this. How many 458s are out there?
Right.
A ton. So I mean, we were even talking about the LaFerrari earlier today on our
Right.
way here, which it's a cool car, it's a special car, but there are a lot of them out there.
Sure.
They're out there. So,
I know like 4 friends that have one.
yeah, I mean,
So-
we know a handful of people that
Right.
have them. When these cars are so much more mass produced today. Like you were saying before, with the 360, there were 5,000 of them. So
Yeah.
it wasn't such a special car at that point.
Right.
And Ferrari now makes on the average of 15,000 cars a year.
Yep.
That's a lot of cars.
It's like the new Honda.
So again, thank you for your time. This was an awesome experience, and for showing us around and talking to us about the cars. You want to do you have anything you can plug for social media for our listeners? Do you want anybody-
Websites or any information about you or your ventures or
My Instagram is Dr. Forfenstoops.
Yeah. and
anybody you want to shout out, son?
would you like to spell that?
It's Dr. Dr. FWERRFNSTOOPS.
Good luck finding it. And
That's the purpose. And as far as the website, depending on when this will be, when will this be?
About a month from now.
Yeah, that's fine. So it's thefinest.com, which is ill that we have that
is
URL.
pretty cool.
Yeah, or thefinestauctions.com. Either one will redirect. But yeah, it's exciting. Our first auction will take place live and online April 9th, 2016.
Cool.
So it will be an online only auction. Pretty excited.
Awesome.
Dope. Yeah, that's dope.
We can find Tminus
At Tminus, that's TMINUS_ car lifestyle. Yeah. That's it.
That's all he's going to
Bitches.
say for today. If you want to email us, you can email us at Podcast at car-lifestyle.com. We're open to suggestions for future podcasts, questions, and any type of comments. If you're going to tell Tminus that he's very vulgar, he already knows that, so fuck off. And right? Then we had somebody who sent us an email and said, you know, I really don't appreciate the way he talks to Seth sometimes, and this and that. And I was like, all right, dick.
Seriously.
We just can't delete and block somebody off of the podcast.
Right.
But if you're out there listening, we just deleted and blocked you, so fuck off. You can find me at Exotics Rally. It's EXOTICS Rally, RALLY. And at Art of Rap NY, ARTOFWRAP NY. And my new venture, which will be launched by the time this airs, is My Vet Rental. So My Vet, VETTE Rental.
Is that like Rent a Grandma?
Kind of, but it's going to be, instead of it like a vet, like a doctor, it's going to be a car.
Oh, that's cool.
So My Vet
Bravo,
Rental.
bravo.
Bravo, bravo. And on that note, keep the shiny side up and stay safe out there. We will talk to you next time. And that's a wrap.
Car Lifestyle.